just like Amanda was in March of 2018, and videoing the building. Are you going to detain that person or not?
I'm going to again object as it calls for speculation.
Right. Speculate.
In that situation, there are no determinant prerequisites or ways to know whether or not we would do that. It doesn't say if they videotape this, you can do this. If you don't, you could do this. With lethal force, it's all documented.
Excellent. Okay, now it's documented for this also, isn't it? You get to detain people if they're recording in the building, right?
Yes.
Is there a policy that tells you when you're allowed to detain somebody outside of the building?
If suspicious activity, yes.
Did you hear the question?
Did you hear my answer?
Did you hear my question? I'm not going to answer your questions today.
Okay, then I'm not sure. You're going to have to repeat your question.
My question was, do you know of a policy that tells you if and when you're allowed to detain somebody taking pictures outside of the building?
I'm going to object. It was just asked and answered.
I'd like an answer, please, this time.
Repeat your question again.
Do you know if there is a policy that tells you when you are allowed to detain somebody for taking pictures outside of the building?
If it falls under suspicious activity, there is procedures to follow.
Okay, what constitutes suspicious activity under this policy?
Well, we're responsible for a lot of people here and the safety of this building. So if we feel that somehow it could be a safety risk, we can detain.
And wouldn't there have to be something other than just taking pictures for you to decide that it's suspicious and you need to detain the person?
How would we know that they were doing anything other than that?
Well, what I'm asking you is, why do you get to detain somebody unless you do know?
I'm not following your question.
Okay, I'm asking you a very, very simple question. Let me ask it this way.
Okay.
Are you allowed to detain people for taking pictures outside of the building, yes or no?
If it falls under suspicious activity, then we can detain people and find out what they're doing and who they are.
And is that a policy, a Cook County Services Department policy?
Suspicious activity, yes.
Yeah, policy 172, right?
Correct.
Suspicious activity reporting, right? Is that the policy?
Correct.
Can I have a few markers, please?
The entire case hinges on whether or not Milazzo would be able to detain or arrest someone in those circumstances, and he is not going to give a definitive answer. Suspicious behavior is a very broad term and has the potential to be abused.
I'd like to. Yeah. All right, thank you. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Exhibit 1, and I'd like you first to identify this document, please. And for the record, this is Bates stamped CCSAO Bergquist 000013. Is that the policy that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Please, I'm going to hand you my highlighter. I'm going to ask you please to highlight the portion there where it tells you that you're allowed to detain people for taking pictures outside of the building. Okay, excellent. So I see that there's something on the first page that you highlighted, two things on the second page that you highlighted, and well, the third page is mainly blank, so nothing highlighted there. All right, now the first thing that you highlighted is, and I'm going to read exactly what you highlighted, examples of suspicious activity may include but are not limited to. Did I read that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. Where does it say there that you get to detain people? And I'm going to hand it back to you so you can show me. And this time highlight, please, where it says you get to detain people.
It does not say it in that paragraph.
Excellent. Where does it say it? Use the highlighter.
Down under reporting and investigation.
Okay. So now we're moving to the second page. You highlighted two things. One thing over here says that the responsibilities of the respective department head include but are not limited to. Then the next thing is 172.4, reporting and investigation. You highlighted these words. Any member receiving information regarding suspicious activity should take any necessary, immediate, and appropriate action. And that's the end of the highlighting. And your testimony, obviously, is that this authorizes you to detain people who are acting in a way that you feel is suspicious, right?
Yes.
And just so that I understand this correctly, if right now we could go back in time and replay exactly what happened on the day that you arrested Ms. Bergquist. So now we're back to that moment where you don't know her and you don't know what she's doing. But you do get to go back and decide if you're going to arrest her. Are you going to arrest her or not?
I'm going to object again as it calls for speculation. You can answer.
Since Milazzo believes that he has a right to detain Bergquist, he sees no reason why he would change his decision. And before we continue, I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Today's video has no sponsor, so if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be extremely appreciated.
You're asking me if it happened tomorrow, what would I do?
Nope, that's not what I asked you.
Okay.
If you could go back in time to the day that you arrested her, would you still arrest her?
So you're asking me if I can go back in time?
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that.
Okay. Did you understand my question?
I did, and you're asking me to suppose whether or not I can go back in time. I can't.
So you can't tell me if you would still arrest her?
I can't tell you what would happen on that day if I went back in time, no.
Okay. Is this an attempt to be funny?
Not a bit.
Are you trying to answer my questions?
I'm trying to answer your question.
You really can't figure this out because you can't wrap your head around time travel. That's what you're saying?
Object. Again, I mean, I'm going to object. It's getting to be harassing again. I mean, is this what the question is? Hypothetical time travel backwards?
Is that really how you interpreted the question also?
Is that what you're asking? If he could go back in time, would he do it differently? Is that not what you're asking?
Yeah, that is what I asked him.
Okay. Well,
I don't think that asks him to do time travel.
It's asking him to speculate.
Okay.
So I'm objecting
So
to
object
that.
to speculation.
And I'm
that's fine.
objecting that it's harassing as well.
Excellent. I'm harassing. Thank you. If you could go back in time and not arrest her, would you arrest her or not?
I can't say what I would do.
Okay. Do you feel that the arrest of her was proper or not?
The detainment was proper.
The detainment was proper. What information did you receive regarding suspicious activity?
I'm not sure what the question means.
Okay. The part that you highlighted here says any member receiving information regarding suspicious activity should take any necessary, immediate, and appropriate action. What I'm asking you is, what did Ms. Berquist do, or what information did you receive regarding suspicious activity?
The fact that she was videotaping the building and possibly inside the doors is suspicious.
Okay. Is it against the law to do that?
Not necessarily.
Is it ever against the law to do that?
No.
Thank you. So if you detain somebody for doing something which is not against the law, isn't that an unlawful detainment?
Not if we're required to do a report and we can't justify what they were doing there.
Okay.
So,
Are you familiar with the Cook County Sheriff's Office Strategic Operations Center informational bulletins? Do you know what those are?
yes.
There's one that's titled Photographing Exterior of County Facilities. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Exhibit 2. And this is bait stamped CCSAO, Berquist 000016 and 17. I'm going to find a spot that it doesn't obstruct any of the words, and I'm going to ask you to take this document. I'm also going to give you my highlighter again. Tell me if there's anything there that allows you to detain people for taking pictures. All right. You highlighted date of information June 20th, 18, and date of report June 2018. Did you understand my question?
I did.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it back to you again.
Okay.
And the question is there anything in here that allows you to detain people for taking pictures outside of the building?
Okay, the answer to it is this bulletin came out after the fact.
So what you're saying is that this modified the county's policy?
I did not have this bulletin in my hands in order to make a decision.
Did you hear my question?
I don't know if it modified their policy or not. All I know is I did not have the bulletin in my hands on March 28th to make a decision.
Does Exhibit 2, the informational bulletin, contradict in any way the suspicious activity reporting policy 172 that's marked as Exhibit 1?
Okay.
And I'll give them both back to you.
Sure.
All right, you just highlighted something else on Exhibit
Yes,
1.
I did.
This says the policy was issued on June 1st, 2018 and shall become effective upon issuance. Okay, well, you must not be understanding my question. What I'm asking you is, Exhibit 1, suspicious activity reporting, your testimony is that this allows you to detain people taking pictures outside, right?
Correct.
Okay. Exhibit 2, does this allow you to take detain people of taking Does Exhibit 2, the informational bulletin, allow you to detain people for taking pictures outside of the building?
What I'm saying is that both of those bulletins came out after the fact. I did not have those at the time to make a decision.
Right, I didn't ask you that. Did you hear the question? What was the question?
You want to know if it has the information in there that you're looking for.
No. Okay, so let me explain the question. The question is very simple. Is there anything in Exhibit 2 that gives you the authority to detain people for taking pictures outside of the building? You have my highlighter. Please highlight the part that talks about that.
The deposition has become less about answering questions and more about how Milazzo can creatively avoid them.
So, if I understand your testimony correctly, Exhibit 1 gives you authority to detain people for taking pictures outside. Exhibit 2 does not give you authority to do that, right?
Correct.
Don't they contradict each other in that regard?
Okay. Yes.
They do. Okay. So if they contradict each other, then which one should we look at? Which one do we listen to? Exhibit 1 or Exhibit 2?
The bulletins are just bulletins. The other ones are policy.
Is it possible that you're just not understanding the suspicious activity reporting when you think that it tells you that you get to detain people for taking pictures?
Okay, so you're asking my interpretation of it?
Yeah.
Okay, my interpretation is yes, I can detain.
Okay. I'm asking you, rather than saying that we have two opposing documents here put out by the same county, isn't it possible that really they don't contradict each other? And the explanation here is simply that you don't understand Exhibit 1, the suspicious activity reporting policy.
Okay, and again, both of those came out after the fact. I did not have those to go back and utilize to make a decision.
What question did I just ask you?
Okay, your question, my answer to your question is I don't know.
Okay, what question? What
You
question are
wanted to
you saying
know
you
if-
don't know to?
You wanted to know
Can you
if,
repeat the question,
Sure.
please?
Do you not know the question?
repeat it.
Okay, fine. The question is very simple. Isn't it possible that Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2 don't contradict each other, and that the explanation for why you think they do is that you don't understand Exhibit 1?
No.
It's not possible.
Rather than risk looking ignorant, Milazzo refuses to entertain the possibility that he did not understand the policy.
It's not possible.
Okay, because in your mind, Exhibit 1, Suspicious Activity Reporting, Policy 172, allows you to detain people taking pictures outside if you believe that it's suspicious.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any objective component to that, or is it only subjective?
Subjective.
Completely subjective. So if I'm standing outside taking a picture and you feel that my shirt is suspicious, you can detain me for that, right?
I'm going to object again. Calls for speculation.
What kind of shirt are you wearing?
Regular blue button-down shirt.
Okay, I don't find anything suspicious about that.
What if you do? Then you're allowed to detain me, right?
I'm going to object again. Calls for
Yeah.
speculation.
Do I get an answer?
You want to know if I object to your shirt?
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, I'm trying to use an example, but it doesn't have to be an example if you don't want it to be. If there's something, your testimony is that it's completely subjective. It's up to whichever officer is looking. If that officer subjectively believes that's suspicious, you get to detain that person. That's your testimony, right?
If we feel that it somehow it could interfere with the security of this building and the people in it, yes.
Did you hear my question?
That was my answer.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question. Is there any objective component to it, or is it strictly subjective?
Explain the difference.
Okay. Do you know the difference between objective and subjective?
I'd like to hear what you're asking me.
Do you not know the difference between objective and subjective?
Okay, can you ask the question?
I don't have to answer your questions today.
Okay.
I asked you a question. Do you know the
Again,
difference?
I'm not understanding your question then.
Okay. Do you know the difference between objective and subjective?
Yes.
Okay. What is the difference in your own words?
One is concrete and one is I can't think of another word for it.
Which one is concrete, objective or
Objective.
subjective? Okay, so objective is concrete. All right. Subjective is how you personally feel about something, right? Right?
Perception.
Perception. Your own perception. Right?
Correct.
Not based on any objective evidence, but based on your own subjective opinions and beliefs of what's happening, right?